You picked up your phone for 30 seconds. 40 minutes passed. And when you put it down, you didn't feel rested. You didn't feel informed. You felt less certain about your life, less satisfied with what you have, less like yourself than you did before you looked. You do this every day, and every day you already know how it will end. It starts innocuously. A few posts, a friend's holiday, a stranger's kitchen renovation, someone your age doing more, having more, seeming to feel more certain about all of it. You aren't looking for comparison, but comparison found you. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, first articulated by Leon Festinger in 1954. The observation that human beings have a deep, automatic drive to evaluate themselves against others. It evolved as a survival tool. Knowing where you stood in your social group once had real consequences. But the environment it evolved for had natural limits. You could only compare yourself to the people you could actually see, your village, your neighbors, your kin. Now, you compare yourself to millions. Curated, filtered, performed. The best moments of every life laid flat into a single unending scroll. And your brain, running ancient software, cannot distinguish between a genuine social signal and a highlight reel engineered for attention. It registers every perfect image as data about where you stand. And where you stand, always, is behind. You are not failing at life. You are comparing your interior to other people's exteriors. Your doubt, your fatigue, your ordinary Tuesday measured against someone else's most photogenic Saturday. Researcher Sherry Turkle, who has spent decades studying humans and technology, observed that social media doesn't just show us other people's lives. It trains us to perform our own, to see our experiences as content before we've finished having them. The sunset becomes a post before it becomes a memory. The grief becomes a story before it becomes something felt. You are not broken for feeling emptier. You are responding accurately to an environment that was designed to make you feel that way. Here's what's engineered beneath the surface. Every notification, every like, every comment, every small moment of social validation triggers a release of dopamine in the brain's reward circuitry. The same system that once rewarded finding food, finding shelter, finding belonging in a group, now fires for a red circle on a screen. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner identified the most addictive reinforcement pattern as variable ratio reinforcement, rewards delivered unpredictably at irregular intervals. Not every poll wins, but any poll might. This is precisely how social media is designed, not by accident, by engineering. The scroll is a slot machine with no coins and no closing time. And the brain, which did not evolve for this, cannot easily step away from a reward loop it cannot predict. Neuroscientist Anna Lembke, who studies dopamine and addiction, notes that chronic overstimulation of the reward pathway doesn't produce more pleasure over time. It produces tolerance, a gradual numbing that requires more stimulation to feel the same baseline. You are not lazy for reaching for your phone. You are responding to a system built by some of the most sophisticated behavioral engineers alive. People who studied your psychology more carefully than you ever had to study theirs. 4 principles, not rules, recalibrations. 1. Audit your consumption, not your willpower. The research is clear. Individual willpower is a poor match for platform-level behavioral engineering. Instead of trying harder to resist, change the environment. Remove apps from your home screen. Set usage limits that require friction to override. Introduce distance between the impulse and the action. Behavioral economists call this choice architecture, the principle that how options are arranged shapes behavior more reliably than intention. Design your environment before your environment designs you. 2. Interrupt the comparison loop at the source. When you notice the familiar contraction, that quiet deflation that comes mid-scroll, stop. Name what just happened. I just compared my real life to someone's constructed image. Cognitive behavioral research shows that cognitive labeling, naming a thought pattern as it occurs, reduces its automatic impact. You are not suppressing the feeling, you are seeing the mechanism. Seeing it clearly is the beginning of choice. 3. Replace passive consumption with active connection. Research by psychologist Melissa Hunt found that passive scrolling, observing others' lives without interaction, produces significantly higher anxiety and loneliness than using the same platforms for direct reciprocal communication. The platform is not the problem. The posture is. Move from spectator to participant. Send the message instead of watching the story. The brain registers that difference. 4. Rebuild your baseline with boredom. Boredom, which social media has nearly eliminated, is where the brain consolidates memory, generates creativity, and restores baseline dopamine levels. Lemke's research suggests that even short periods of dopamine fasting, deliberate abstinence from high stimulation input, begin to restore the reward system's sensitivity. 10 minutes of doing nothing is not wasted time. It is maintenance. Think of your attention as a garden. Social media did not ruin it, but it grew over it. Fast, dense, indiscriminate, crowding out what needed quiet and space to grow. What you are doing every time you put the phone down, every time you choose boredom over stimulation, every time you let the sunset be a sunset, is tending the garden again. Not burning it, not abandoning it. Choosing deliberately what gets your light. The version of your life that exists off the screen, the unfiltered, unposted, unremarkable version, is the only version of your life that is actually yours. The discomfort you feel when you're not scrolling is not emptiness. It is the feeling of returning to yourself, and finding that returning takes a moment to adjust to. You were here before all of this. Quieter, slower, more certain of what mattered. That person hasn't gone anywhere. They're just waiting for you to put the phone down long enough to remember them.